Hello and welcome, as today is the 4th day of December 2017. My name is Derek, hashtag crypto trading video. Welcome everything you do within your own risk and your own reward. In the 2.5 minute warning this morning, I talked about STRAT strat, and it did continue on with a further rise higher, and I sold some, but not against Bitcoin. Earlier, the price had a move to about 63,000, maybe a little higher, looking at this chart. And at 61,500, that represented $6.89 per coin. Well, I sold at the price on Ethereum exchange, and I'm enjoying trading against Litecoin and Ethereum and other coins that are not Bitcoin as the main currency cross. And it was sold at 0.0178. When I do some mathematics, with Ethereum prices in at around $450, 0.0178 multiply 450 is very close to $8 per coin. And well, the price would have been maybe a little bit above 7 at the high. That's 2% from 689 to 7. And that's about a 2% move to the top of this range. So it looks like the highest strat got today was to 7, yet I sold 20% of my position at $8 earlier today. Now if we bring up that exact crossing on the TradingView site, I got the BITTREX exchange for Stratus and Ethereum, which is looking pretty nice on the chart as it managed to establish some resistance in and around here, ride the 18 average of highs. After it corrected lower, it has now just broken past this resistance, looking to make a move upwards close to the 18 handle. I sold above the 18 handle. How is that possible? Well, I didn't sell this on BITTREX, and I'll tell you the reason why. They delete orders after 28 days. That is tedious for me to have to consistently, multiple times a month, 2 to 3 times a month I'm estimating, to go on the site and actually delete an order and replace the exact same order. As that they decided that they feel that what orders are that old, they're really not relevant anyway, something in that nature. So I've decided if there's another exchange that can fulfill the exact same duties, especially with BITTREX being 0.25% commission, hit BTC where I did sell it on, it works out to 0.89%. Much, much lower. All right, let's move on to the next chart. And let's take a look at Dash against the United States dollar in at around the 750 handle, and I got one of these green lines, upward trend resistance lines, connecting the area of the highs at the end of August into September, as well as, of course, this little resistance area in here. It's moved above it. It's riding the 18 average of highs right now. So when you see markets having moves that don't have a huge move above it, and you're always near it, then you're grinding your way higher. Whereas with the Bitcoin chart, I'll get to that in a little bit, when you spend several days above the 18 average, that's a very good move. But it also states that this is due for one, because the only times that this thing got well above the 18 average of highs, it managed to go back to it quickly, which would have been in here, of course, and then back in here. And each time it resisted that line, we can see that at the end of November, it actually supported such. Let's take a look at this on a longer term time frame. And this is the weekly. And there we can see the line, which has been the resistance of this year. As we can hit here, we hit here, resist here. Now this pattern is showing things a little bit differently, very much so. We've already been seeing, and I've talked about the Bitcoin resistance line. Is it either going to be an increase of the rate in ascent, or is it going to spark some sort of just a huge rally that would probably go higher, then sell it off fast and meet back with the 18 average below the trend line relatively quick? But it does have a very nice looking bullish formation. Moving on to a much more longer term time frame, or going back to 2015. Let's put a trend line in here. So there's the spot where it broke out above such in here, supported it here, and has established this great trend at a higher rate of ascent, albeit not by much. And even still, it has managed to sustain its gain, at least from point A to point B, with point A being in here and point B being the start of the trend and the month of April, whatever that time frame happened to be. And for myself earlier today, just for something, not really for something to do, on my hardware wallet, I have a little under 50% of the Bitcoin in itself that I own in hardware storage. And as far as my Litecoin, I have about 61.8% as a rough guess, maybe 63% more like it, in there as well. But nothing else, not one single coin. So I thought, you know what, let's just send a little bit of Dash. I didn't send much, but I sent a half of one. And I'm looking at transfer fees. So I decided, where do I want to buy it? Well, POLONIEX, the cost to transfer is 0.01, or about $7.50. That's a little expensive. BITTREX, 0.002. Reasonable at $1.50. That's where I bought, that's where I transferred from. Then it took about, I noticed maybe 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds after I confirmed. Maybe it might have been 40 seconds after I confirmed the transfer, that my hardware wallet said that the Dash was coming. I was like, sweet. And then when it was confirmed and I just wanted to see how much it would cost for me to send, it said something like 3,200 or something in satoshi. And I'm thinking that's like a couple pennies, or just a much smaller number transferring that code from the hardware wallet. So when I know the blockchain transfer fees, as far as what you'd be doing when you are in possession, are low, then exchanges are doing pretty good in making a profit. And well, I don't mind holding some in exchange and hardware wallets, because if it's cheap for me to transfer somewhere, then that is beautiful. Because if I'm long-term trading any of these codes, I mean, why not just keep them on your hardware wallet, and when price action justifies to the point where you want to sell them for some other crypto, then you do it when the time is right. You move it, and then maybe 10 minutes later, with how fast some of these transfers are, you sell, and do so on and so forth. But anyway, the Dash chart, as we can see with the trend line, this could have some interesting breaks. Now, how much of a gain? The movements before, I mean, going from like, oh, $3 up to like 100 or so, 200 even. But yeah, that's the first line in here, close to 100. It's pretty good. And now 100 to 700, that's about 7 times. Well, not really 700, because it's a new move. The high was to about 300 and change. I don't think it can do any type of like 20x gains, at least not unless the whole crypto space and Bitcoin does like 20, 40, 50,000 as well. But I don't think from the breakout that doing better than a 10x gain is unreasonable. And breakout price is around 200. That's 2,000 on 10x, which is from the low. That's always where I'm going to look at it from. And when it does it at the 18 average of lows like in here, it's such a justifiably noticeable, relevant, and enough to make the cut to be a key low in charting analysis. Now let's move on to the Bitcoin chart, doing better than 11,000 and change. And as I was talking earlier within Dash, when it was riding the 18 average of highs within support, a situation when it does better than that is back in like here, where you are having several days in a rally well above such. And even the current one now from the break. And the break happens a little north of the 18 average and has just been continuously going up since that point with little price action down towards such. With the only bit, of course, being this little bit in here. So a nice extension, to say the least. Now, I don't have the trend lines on this, and that's because I have the Bitstamp exchange. And for trend analysis, it's good if I don't want those lines because they always stay on the charting platform. That's an awesome feature. But because I can look at Bitcoin on several different exchanges, this is good for looking at the long term because, well, this exchange happens to have the data from way back when. And as we can see the action at pre-2012, couple bucks, $3 per Bitcoin. That was when if you wanted to buy an ounce of silver, you would need several Bitcoins. Now, if you have one Bitcoin, you can get several ounces of silver and then several ounces more and several dozen ounces. And heck, get yourself a few 100-ounce bars while you're at it. That's how much silver one Bitcoin can buy today, going from a little over $1 to $3 now at about 11,000 and change. So move from point A to point B, worked out to about a couple bucks to close to about 1,000, 500x gain. Move from point C, which is the low of around 200 or so, 250, I don't know what it is, but 250, multiply that 10, that's 2,500. We've beaten that. So we're 40x so far. Okay. I still don't see any volume in here to show me the indication for a blow off top of any sort. That doesn't mean the top of a significant sell-off will not contain such, but it's usually the way it goes. And it does look like it's up a lot and extended. And well, that in a bullish case means one of two things. It means it could have some serious extension moving forward. Or some of these short-term corrections that could come back. But when we see where the 18 average is on here, it is still south of that 7,000 handle. Just something to keep in mind, that if anything like that were to happen, and there is a retracement of 50% even, well, then that brings us back to where we were a few months ago, and a correctionary phase on this very long-term time frame. Of course, that's on the if scenario. Because it's interesting, we're in a situation where I've noticed, just talking with a few people, I even did talk to one of my old accounting professors from 20 years ago earlier today. And it's amazing the reaction I have noticed people within the crypto space. And I know the Big Bang Theory had the episode moving on, and that's what sparked a lot of people's interest. But if you were to ask people 8 months ago, even, let alone 16 months ago, what is Bitcoin? They literally would have no idea to even be close to what the subject would be, let alone even having or thinking of accumulating any. Now, today, the case, you ask how many people have heard of Bitcoin. That number is growing large. There's a lot more people that have heard of it. That's one of the key steps people have to get into an asset class, is they have to hear about it. Because it's pretty hard to get into it if you don't know what it is, literally. And when you look at things like, say, the regular stock market, one reason why the stock market keeps going up and up and up and up, not counting the inflationary factor, is because when everyone has their 401ks, IRAs, any type of investments, they are just adding into it every week, every month, every quarter, or every howsoever often. Of course, banks would be doing a lot of it for it, but that would just continuously make the market go higher. Now, today, we have people who live in paycheck by paycheck that are putting a percentage of it in every single time. Every so often they put in. And then you got consistent new buyers every single day with like 100,000 plus accounts coming in on Coinbase. That's just insanely high. You got to think that at least 10 to 20, 25% are considering cash deposits. Some of them just have access. Oh, I'll give you some Bitcoin. Well, where do I go? Just go to Coinbase and I'll give you some. Either way, people are entering into the market within that sense. And that is a fantastic, interesting thing. So how easy is it for the sellers, the bearers, to come into this market and expect to sustain any downtrend when you got a constant buying pressure going in? And that's pretty much what's happening at this stage. It has to stop at some point. But I don't think it can stop until well into the new year, maybe even close to the end of the winter. I still think there's a good chance as we continue on through December and into January that every single sell-off is going to be guilty until proven innocent within such, because of the constant buying pressure, and a nice bull market is going to continue to come into place. And when that Christmas season comes along, there's going to be a lot of stories going on. People talking about what their success, and it'll be obvious, like, how did you get that car? Oh, wow. That's a nice coat you got, or holy shit, how did you afford to buy me this? And then the amount of Bitcoins, Litecoins, Ethereums, and all other coins that are actually going to be given to people. How many nano ledgers, Trezor wallets are going to be given to people? It's going to be a very interesting situation in the consciousness within the human species. And another thing to consider, as we know the amount of people that know about and use cryptocurrency. Let's go back 20 years ago, if you can remember, around that time frame in the mid to late 1990s. 95 to 97 is a good time frame basis. How many people had heard about the internet around 1993, 1994? How many people had heard about the internet around 1997, 98? How many people used the internet, at least at some sort of an occasional now and again level, if not regularly, in 1993, 94? And again in 1997, 98. And I have to think that the amount of people that use the internet in around 96, 97 is about the same amount of people that are in the crypto space in one form or another. And as the internet just took off at the start of the millennium, something I easily predicted in 97 would happen, well, it's easy in 2017 for me to say that cryptocurrencies, but more importantly, the blockchain technology, is going to take off as we enter the 20s. So for me, Bitcoin, will it survive? Well, that's not exactly the blockchain or that such. It is blockchain, but it's like a website to the internet. The internet was going to go. And if you were in a business back in the late 90s with the internet, if you knew what you're doing, it was pretty hard to fail, especially if you worked hard and you had a good game plan. So if you're a cryptocurrency right now, if you got a good cryptocurrency with a good game plan, it's going to be pretty hard to fail. Of course, there will be a lot of crappy ones out there too, but if Bitcoin ends up failing because its competition does better, then so be it. As a trader, that's something I have to look out for to ensure that I will be the most successful in doing such, because I do not expect cryptocurrencies to fail. I expect them to succeed very much so. as we are looking, I think, to leaving the early adoption phase, sort of like the internet was leaving the early adoption phase as 1999 was rolling around. All right, so I'll conclude this video. Didn't really know exactly what I was going to talk about other than a few details like this when I started. I just figured I have some time to put up a little over 20 minutes of a video, and I have done such. But yeah, these topics, I like to compare the comparison of the internet to the blockchain, because I can remember my early days with the internet back starting in the autumn of 1994. I don't know when I first heard about the internet. I was looking for the internet in 94. I couldn't find it. Literally. I found it in 1995. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.